It might seem counterintuitive,
Yeah.
but it all comes down to human behavior and economic principles.
Okay.
When faced with such a steep tax rate, high-income earners were incredibly motivated to find ways to avoid paying it.
Yeah. So instead of this massive influx of tax revenue to fund all these great social programs, the government was left with less money than before.
And this shrinking tax base kind of had a ripple effect throughout the economy.
Oh.
When people have less incentive to earn and invest, it can really stifle economic growth. It's a classic example of what economists call the Laffer curve. And if you go beyond that point, it actually leads to diminishing returns.
It seems like this policy, despite its good intentions, really missed the mark.
It did.
But I'm curious about the other side of the coin.
Okay.
We've talked about the negative consequences,
Yeah.
but were there any arguments in favor of such a high tax rate at the time?
That's a great question. And it's really important to consider the context of the era. The idea of a highly progressive tax system where the wealthy bear a larger share of the burden was actually quite popular in many parts of the world.
Right.
The goal was to reduce income inequality and create a more just society.
Okay.
And there's a valid argument to be made that a high tax rate, at least in theory, could help achieve those goals.
So it's not just about the money, but also about social fairness and creating a more level playing field.
Exactly.
And some might argue that the revenue generated, even if it was less than expected, still went towards important social programs like the Green Revolution,
Yeah.
which had, a transformative impact on India's agricultural sector and helped alleviate poverty.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's a good point.
It is.
It's easy to focus on the economic downsides, but we can't forget about the potential social benefits that might have been realized.
Yeah, for sure.